The Democrats just revealed their worst nightmare, and it's wrapped in Trump's big, beautiful bill. Chuck Schumer's on camera screaming that we're all going to die if we cut taxes and stop giving free health care to illegals. But that's not even the most shocking part. The numbers are in, and what they show will make every working American's blood boil. While you struggle to pay your bills, 1.4 million illegal immigrants are living off your tax dollars through Medicaid. And now Trump's about to pull the plug, and the establishment is in full meltdown mode. And what you're about to see isn't just politics, it's the masks coming off. So don't look away. Now, here is the hard truth, though. Every 6 years, your dollar loses half its buying power. That means $100,000 savings today could feel like $50,000 by 2031. You see it every time you fill up your tank, you buy groceries or pay bills. Prices are up, dollars down. But there's a simple way to protect your savings with something real, something proven. It's gold, an asset that holds value over time. That's why I trust Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to protect your savings with physical gold or silver. No high-pressure sales, no call centers, just honest guidance and one-on-one support. Transparent pricing as well. And when you open a qualified account, Noble Gold will send you a free 10-ounce silver American flag bar. So head to nextnewsgold.com. That's nextnewsgold.com. You'll see it linked down below in the description, or call that number 877-646-5347. And when they pick up the phone, tell them that Gary Franchi sent you, and tell Colin I said hi. Remember, don't just protect your wealth, preserve its power. Now, the battle lines are drawn, and Chuck Schumer just exposed exactly whose side he's on. Watch closely as the Senate Democrat leader admits his real priority isn't helping Americans, it's protecting illegal immigrants on taxpayer-funded health care. Watch.
GOP lawmakers have defended some of their budget bills, Medicaid reforms, by highlighting preliminary CBO projections of roughly 1.4 million illegal immigrants losing their coverage under state-funded health programs. Is reducing federal Medicaid payments to states that provide coverage to undocumented immigrants a reform that you would support?
The bottom line is this overall bill is so awful. If they want to aim, if they got some specific issues, aim it. Don't just do a meat axe or a chainsaw across the board and cut everything. I don't know if their numbers are accurate. These are GOP numbers, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. There it is, straight from the horse's mouth. Schumer's more worried about 1.4 million illegals losing Medicaid than the American families paying for it. This is the same man who voted to send billions overseas while your grocery bills doubled. But Schumer's meltdown gets even more unhinged. This next clip shows him literally claiming Americans will die if we pass historic tax cuts and secure our border. Watch his theatrical performance as he waves the big, beautiful bill like it's a death warrant. Watch.
And we all know one thing. Donald Trump is just lying about the bill. Lying about the bill. Well, here's the "We are all going to die" act.
We are all going to die. Remember those words when you vote. This is their closing argument against putting money back in your pocket and stopping the illegal immigrant gravy train. Senator Ron Wyden jumped into the fear-mongering circus with his own brand of deception. He claims the big, beautiful bill is about health care cuts and tax breaks for the ultra-wealthy. Here's the Oregon Democrat spreading lies that even his own colleagues can't defend. Watch.
This morally bankrupt bill boils down to a simple equation. As the leader touched on, health care cuts for Americans walking on an economic tightrope is what this bill is all about, and it's going to be paid for by extra tax breaks for the ultra-wealthy.
Wyden knows he's lying. The bill delivers historic tax cuts for working Americans while protecting Medicare and Social Security. But Democrats can't win on truth, so they weaponize fear. So the establishment media is trying to spin this as a battle between Trump and Elon Musk over spending. CNN's number crunchers want you to believe that Republicans have abandoned fiscal responsibility, but watch what happens when they accidentally reveal the truth about GOP voter priorities. Watch.
Musk, in calling this a disgusting abomination, says it will explode the national debt, says it runs counter to all the work he did trying to cut government spending. What's the reality?
Please just never call me a disgusting abomination, John, please.
Never to your face.
Thank you. Behind me is perfectly fine. I mean, look, You know, President Trump wants to send these DOGE cuts to Congress through the rescission process. And that, get this, would only bring down the national debt by about $9 billion. The big, beautiful bill over 10 years, get this, through the roof in terms of the federal deficits and the debt, up $2 trillion. You don't have to be a mathematical genius to know that $9 trillion doesn't come anywhere close to $9 billion comes anywhere close to $2 trillion. So all of DOGE's work that they would send, at least a part of it, to Congress gets completely wiped out, wiped off the map by the big, beautiful bill. No wonder Elon Musk is so upset.
So, as I said, he's taking on this bill. He's mostly critical of Congress here. In a battle between Elon Musk and Congress, who wins?
Yeah, who wins between Elon Musk and Congress? Well, look, Elon Musk is a very popular guy amongst Republicans, a plus 63 net favorability rating. Beats Mike Johnson at plus 46, who, of course, is the Speaker. How about John Thune, the Republican leader in the Senate? Only a plus 30. So if Musk is taking on these two gentlemen, it's not a fair fight. Elon Musk is a very popular dude. But he is nowhere close to where Donald Trump is within the Republican ranks. Look at that, a plus 79 net favorability rating. So if Donald Trump decides to turn his fire on Elon Musk, that is a fight that Elon Musk simply put cannot win. If Donald Trump stays out of it, he stands a pretty good chance, Elon Musk does, against Johnson and Thune.
It's interesting because, again, I've said Trump has been quiet so far this morning. I wonder if he'll look at this segment. He's a big Harriet fan and say, you know what?
Many are.
My popularity is a lot greater than Elon Musk right now. Maybe I should weigh in. I'll be interested to see if he stays quiet on Truth Social all day. On the issue itself, Harry, when Elon Musk is criticizing the debt and deficits here, how much do voters really care?
Republican voters. They don't care. They don't care. I mean, look, cut taxes, even if the deficit increases. You know, you go back 33 years ago, it was just 22% who said cut taxes, even if the deficit increases. But the party of fiscal responsibility is no more. Now, 74% of Republicans say cut taxes, even if deficit increases. So if Donald Trump, more popular than Elon Musk, sticks his neck out, the Republican voters will absolutely be with him because they believe cut taxes, even if deficit increases, quite different than the way they were in the early 1990s.
You were no disgusting abomination. You were a glorious miracle.
You too, my friend.
Thank you, Harriet. Appreciate it.
Beautiful.
Sarah.
Did you catch that?
You know, Sanjay Gupta.
Did you catch that? 74% of Republicans now support tax cuts, even if deficits increase, up from just 22% in 1992. Americans have figured out their game. They'd rather keep their own money than fund government waste. And I've also got this just in. It was just published. It's Alina Habba. She's addressing the dust-up between Donald Trump and Elon Musk. I'm going to play this for you because I think it needs to be included in this segment. Check this out.
This administration. Thank you. Can you clarify for federal workers who might be confused who to listen to, since Elon Musk's post is different from what OPM sent out? I don't think it's, look, here's the reality of the situation. There's one person we're supposed to be listening to, that's President Trump, and what the American people mandated, which is what we're doing. People need to be accountable. You need to be able to answer the question. If you couldn't answer it yesterday, you have till today. But the reality is accountability is real. I can't not show up to work every day. I have to answer to the president. And by answering to the president, I answer to the American people. It's very simple. Would you want to pay somebody to do a job and they don't show up to work? I don't think so. I could name 5 things, 5 bullets, in about 5 minutes of me coming into the office every day. If you struggle to do that for a week, there's no excuse for that. Now, you can have an extra day to answer it, but you better be able to answer it.
What clarification can you offer workers, though, who are confused?
I'm not sure why you're confused or why it's so hard to answer what 5 things you've done in the past week.
And what do you say to departments that have told their employees you don't have to answer?
Well, I think that there's reasoning behind that. You have to understand some of these departments, obviously, we work with top secret information that perhaps you're not supposed to disclose. There's a lot of complications that I'm not going to get into, but there's no question that every single cabinet member, every single person that was put into this administration wants the American people working, wants people back to work, wants to stop the Zoom calls, and wants to stop people from double dipping and having 2 jobs when taxpayer dollars are paying for you to come to work.
Is the White House investigating any of the DOGE resistance, like hacking of the TV?
That's a question for DOGE and DOJ.
Are White House staffers included in
asked by Elon Musk. Did you turn in 5 things to President Trump that you did?
I received an email. President Trump knows what I do every single day. So for me to answer that email is incredibly easy. Frankly, the American people see what I do every single day. So it's just such a non-issue. Think about the fact that we're having look at all of you standing here asking me why people are upset to answer to their boss, the American people, and the President of the United States, what you've done at work. What a ridiculous thing. I mean, it's as ridiculous as us having to say that boys can't play in women's sports. The fact that we are wasting American taxpayer dollars to even have to correct this is insane.
People that don't respond.
The order to fire people who don't answer.
Well, firing people has been happening. It happens in every job. Is it outrageous to you that we're firing people? I mean, PPO has fired tons of people. Each department has fired tons of people. If you're not on an American first agenda, you're not here. It's very simple.
Will they be fired if they don't, just to be clear, will they be fired if they don't respond?
I think the president spoke on that. I'll refer to his statement. You will be held accountable. You will lose your job if you are not working.
Well, but OPM had said, I believe it was minutes afterwards, at least it came out afterwards, that a failure to respond was not tantamount to resignation. So
listen, it's like any job. We're going to ask you what you're doing. Each department is in charge. We have to look at what everybody's doing. You want to say that we're just going to go in and do something careless? No, we don't do things carelessly. But we are asking people to show us that you are working.
And what's going to happen to the messages? Will a higher up evaluate the message and see whether this person was being effective and constructive that week, or is it just that you must respond to show that you exist?
I think every department will handle it in a coordinated effort, but the mandate is real. You have to show up to work.
Will it take staff time to read them? I mean,
of course it takes people's time to read them. We're not asking them so that we put them in a wastebasket. We're asking because we want to know.
Meanwhile, President Trump isn't just fighting domestic battles, he's already working to prevent World War III. His Truth Social post reveals a 75-minute call with Putin discussing Ukraine, Iran, and nuclear weapons. You can see it on your screen there. Brian, can you make it full screen so I can see it? Yeah. I just finished speaking by telephone with President Putin of Russia. Call lasted an hour and 15 minutes. We discussed the attack on Russia's docked airplanes by Ukraine, also the various other attacks that have been taking place by both sides. It was a good conversation, but not all conversations that will lead to immediate peace. Putin did say, and very strongly, he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfields. We also discussed Iran and the fact that time is running out on Iran's decision pertaining to nuclear weapons, which must be made quickly. I stated to Putin that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and on this, I believe we are in agreement. Putin suggested he will participate in discussions with Iran and that he could perhaps be helpful in getting this brought to rapid conclusion. It's my opinion that Iran has been slow-walking their decision on this very important matter, and we will need a definitive answer in a very short period of time. So while Democrats scream about imaginary deaths from tax cuts, Trump's preventing actual nuclear catastrophe. That is what real leadership looks like, negotiating peace while delivering prosperity. Small business champion Kelly Loeffler, she laid out exactly why the BBB, the Big Beautiful Bill, matters to Main Street America. After 4 years of Biden's crushing failures, or should I say his auto pen, American entrepreneurs need relief. Listen to Trump's small business administrator explain how this bill unleashes economic recovery. Watch.
Absolutely. Thank you, Congresswoman. I appreciated the opportunity to be with you in your great district and visit manufacturers that are really making a difference in America, and look forward to continuing to meet with more small businesses across the committee's constituencies. The Big Beautiful Bill Act is vitally important to Main Street America. It's pro-growth. It's pro-small business, and it's pro-worker. We have never had a bill like this in our country that ensures that small businesses can thrive with a 23% pass-through deduction, immediate expensing. It ensures that we start to cut spending, $1.6 trillion in mandatory spending that drove inflation that small businesses were crushed by under the last administration. It secures the border. Small businesses have been suffering from crime in their communities, needless crime. that went unenforced. So this is really a dream bill, and for small businesses, it prevents a nightmare happening that every Democratic member of this committee voted for, to raise taxes on small businesses, trillions of dollars by 23%. Small businesses could not make it through a 22% tax increase. And so I'm really grateful for the support of this bill, and look forward to continued reductions in spending and taxes.
23% pass-through deduction, immediate expensing, and $1.6 trillion in spending cuts that drove Biden's inflation. This isn't trickle-down theory, it's bottom-up prosperity. And taking another look here at, because we just mentioned what happened, Trump's Truth Social post and the 75-minute call, Vladimir Putin, this just in also, Vladimir Putin claims Ukraine is no longer just an illegitimate regime, but is now acting as a full-fledged terrorist organization. And he accuses Ukrainian forces of pulling back some fronts while escalating what he calls terror attacks. Check out what Putin just said a few hours ago.
Strike. It was a deliberate strike, and it only confirms our suspicions that the illegitimate regime in Kiev that came to power through a coup is now being reborn as a terrorist organization, and its sponsors become supporters of terrorism. Recently, the Ukrainian government and their allies dreamt of inflicting a strategic defeat on Russia on the battlefield. Now they're withdrawing from the battle zone, fleeing, and now the Kiev regime is trying to resort to terrorist attacks. At the same time, they're asking for a ceasefire. They're asking for top-level meetings. But how can we organize such meetings? Something like this is happening. What is there to talk about? How can we negotiate with those who are resorting to terrorism? And why should we reward them with cessation in hostilities, allowing them to receive additional weapons, to continue their mobilization and to prepare for more terrorist attacks like those in the Bryansk and Kursk regions? It was a deliberate strike, and it only...
So now Vladimir Putin is calling Ukraine a terrorist nation. So keep that in the back of your mind as these negotiations continue. Moving back to the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, he proved what happens when you put competent people in charge. Newark's runway reopened 13 days ahead of schedule because his team worked around the clock. Here's what accountability looks like in the Trump administration. Watch.
In Newark, one of the problems, in addition to air traffic control, was that one of the runways was down for repair. It's back up and sooner than expected. How'd you do that?
So 13 days sooner than expected. The Port Authority worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to get it online faster than we anticipated. That was one of the issues that we're having in Newark. But on top of that, you've reported this. We were short on controllers in the Philly TRACON that controls the Newark airspace. We only had 22 controllers. 6 were out on leave. We have 22 controllers now in training, so they'll get certified on a rolling basis. And as they're certified, we can expand the capacity of Newark as well. Also, we had a telecom issue that caused the communication issues. We had 2 of those, one in late April, then one in early May. Verizon did a fantastic job. They laid a brand new fiber cable between Philly and New York, which was a problem line. And we're testing that now, and that should be stood up probably the end of June, early July.
One of the things...
Listen, Dana, we're working really fast. It's amazing when everyone cares and engages together, and business CEOs help us out, how fast things can happen.
It's amazing when everyone cares and engages together. Duffy just described the difference between Trump's team and Biden's disasters. Results, not excuses. House Budget Chairman Jason Smith dropped the hammer on Fox, revealing the big, beautiful bill's true scope. This isn't just tax relief. It's the largest mandatory spending cut in American history, including $500 billion stripped from the Green New scam. Watch.
The big, beautiful bill delivers on President Trump's priorities. It delivers the largest tax cut in the history of America, including what the president campaigned on: no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, tax relief for seniors. It also produces the largest mandatory cut in U.S. history, which included more than $500 billion of the Green New tax scam, including $200 billion roughly of the EV tax credits. This bill also provides the most significant welfare reforms in U.S. history. It is the quickest, best approach on delivering on all of President Trump's priorities that he promised 77 million people. It's a very, very good bill.
No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, tax relief for seniors, plus gutting $200 billion in EV subsidies. Every promise Trump made on the campaign trail delivered in one big, beautiful bill. And then we have this. Remember McDonald's hash browns? Yeah, they used to be $2 for $1, and now they are $4.15. You know you love them. You know you do. And maybe we'll see those. We'll see the price of those come down. But OMB Director Russ Vought, he destroyed the Congressional Budget Office's fake numbers about the bill's impact. The same people who said Biden's inflation was transitory now claim tax cuts will increase the deficit. Watch as he exposes their lives with actual math.
At what point in time will we see a plan and a strategy for which we really go after and fix the largest share of the federal spending that is the crux of the national deficit that we have today?
You know, we believe that we're doing that with this bill that you have passed out of the House. And one of the reasons we're so excited about it is that for the first time since 1990s, we are talking about trillions of dollars with regard to mandatory savers. $1.7 trillion now is an enormous opportunity and first step along the lines of what you're talking about and what we've proposed in budgets before. So I think it's, for those that are saying, where are the DOGE cuts? That's not a reconciliation thing. For those that are saying, where are the mandatory reforms? That is in that bill. And we believe it's the first major conversation like this we've had since the 1990s. We will have more proposals as we go forward. The president wants to have a balanced budget. 3 out of our 4 budgets in the first term were aimed at budget, had that as a goal, and we had large mandatory savers in those budgets that were consistent with the president's promises to protect Social Security and Medicare, and we will continue to have reforms along those lines.
Thank you very much.
For the first time since the 1990s, we're talking trillions in mandatory savings. The DOGE cuts come later. This is just the opening salvo in Trump's war on waste. Now, the CBO's projection is pure fiction, and Vought proved it. Their models ignore economic growth and assume Americans are too stupid to understand basic math. Here's the Trump budget chief setting the record straight. Watch.
Just a quick follow-up. Do you believe that the CBO's estimate of President Trump's one big, beautiful bill accurately represents the benefits that it will provide to the American people and the fiscal course correction that it will provide our nation?
No, I think it's fundamentally wrong. I stated that today. It will lead to reduced deficits and debt of $1.4 trillion. It will reduce mandatory savings of $1.7 trillion. And I don't think the way they construct their baseline, not only does it give a fair shake to economic growth, but it fundamentally misreads the economic consequences of not extending current law tax relief. I mean, the degree to which we would have a recession or worse if the tax relief is not extended is something that they just fundamentally do not factor into their analysis.
Thank you for that clarification.
The CBO refuses to factor in what happens without tax relief. Economic catastrophe. They're cooking the books to protect the swamp, but Vaught's brought the receipts. And finally, Vought laid out the stakes if the establishment blocks the bill. No sugarcoating, no political spin, just cold hard truth about what happens if the swamp wins this fight. Watch.
If H.R. 1 fails, if whatever comes back from the Senate fails to get to the desk of the president and signed into law, what happens at the end of this year?
I think we'll have a recession. I think we will be, economic storm clouds will be very dark. I think we'll have a 60% tax increase on the American people. And just to, if I could answer Congressman Hoyer's question or statement, the notion that this bill, I mean, we've been actually criticized unfairly for on the reconciliation bill for the fact that it is all mandatory savers. I mean, you said, look, we need to address the mandatory side of the house. There's $1.7 trillion in mandatory savers on the reconciliation bill. Do we need to do things on the appropriation side, the discretionary side? Yes, that's what we're here to talk about with rescissions and the bill that we've, the budget that we've sent up to you. But we have to get back to what we did in 1997, where we had for the first time substantial mandatory reforms around not just cutting people and just getting people off programs, but reforms, a work requirement. We're using the same model that Bill Clinton signed into law, and we think it will have incredible impact on not just these programs, but giving people dignity of work. And we're not going to be ashamed by that, but we do need to explain ourselves to those that are being impacted by the watchdogs in this town that honestly don't have an incentive to get a bill done. They have chosen how they want to frame bills, and I think they're inaccurate.
Recession, 60% tax increases, and economic darkness. That's the Democrats' plan for America if they stop the big, beautiful bill. But here's the beautiful part. They can't stop what's coming. And Senator Mullen, he just slammed the biased CBO over their wildly inaccurate predictions on the 2017 Trump tax cuts and explains how the one big, beautiful bill will bring back manufacturing and slash spending. Watch.
A crap show from we inherited a crap show from the Biden administration. They had literally doubled almost every agency's budget in the last 4 years. We're in debt. We can't just simply stop spending that debt and expect that we're going to pay it off all at the same time. We have to borrow the money to get us over the hump to let Biden's policies fade out and Trump's policies increase. We know for sure that when we make tax cuts permanent, when we did this in 2017, CBO said we was going to have a $1.5 trillion deficit, and actually what happened is the economy increased by $1.7 trillion is what we ended up bringing into the Treasury. So we have to borrow to get us past this point. Immediately, those two lines will start closing as we start seeing Trump's policies continue to go into effect. We see the economy come roaring back. We see the manufacturing come back. Right. We see jobs increase. We see wages come home increase. We will start seeing the spending go down because, by the way, this is just the first cut at deficit spending, which we're cutting $1.5 trillion in deficit spending, where we inherited a crap show.
So if you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. This isn't about Republican versus Democrat anymore. It's about Americans versus the parasites who are bleeding us dry. Chuck Schumer just told you exactly where his loyalty lies, with 1.4 million illegals sucking up your tax dollars through Medicaid while you can't afford your own prescriptions. The big, beautiful bill exposes the ultimate choice: prosperity for citizens or handouts for criminals. Trump's delivering the largest tax cut in history while Democrats literally scream that we'll die without massive government spending. They're terrified because their power depends on your poverty. Once Americans taste real economic freedom, keeping their tips, their overtime, their hard-earned money, the Democrat plantation collapses forever. So here's my question for you, and you can answer in the comments. Should illegal immigrants get even $1 of taxpayer-funded health care while American veterans sleep on our streets? A simple yes or no in the comments is all I need. And show where you stand with Next News gear by visiting shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. The link is in the description below.